What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday coming at you. Dan Kasper Show's on the air on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com, where you can get the link for the video stream. Also streaming at sportstalk1051.com. Also, you got the Sports Talk app, your Google and Alexa home devices. A bunch of different ways for you to be tuning in, which big thanks to all of you who are making this a part of your brand new week, brand new Monday here. Oh, we got a Monday morning quarterback coming at you here this morning. Plenty to catch up on. Packers preseason game number 1 in the books. But some good news yesterday at Packers practice. Elton Jenkins activated. Big Bob Tunyon, Robert Tunyon activated. Christian Watson activated. All three are off the PUP list, off the PUP list. So they returned to practice yesterday, kind of easing it on in, doing some individual drills. But that's fantastic news. Now, Matt LaFleur kind of downplaying, or I shouldn't say downplaying, but kind of tempering expectations yesterday that all three would be ready to go by week 1. But it's big in the sense that they ain't going to start the season on the PUP list. They're going to be on the active roster to begin the season. So big news right there. And I think we're all kind of now waiting for for number 69 to get activated and back on that active roster, right? But good news yesterday. This week the Packers will be welcoming the Saints for some joint practices before their preseason game, the only preseason game at Lambeau Field on Friday night. But from going back to this past Friday night, Packers 49ers. If you care about scores, Packers falling 28-21. We're going to do a little KPI grading here, a little Kasper performance indicators. I want to know, put your scouting caps on, everybody. What stood out to you? Who stood out to you in Friday night's performance? Obviously, Jordan Love being a big focal point, big topic of discussion. A lot of people kind of going into that game thinking, all right, how's Love going to look? Only finished with 13 of 24, 176, 2 tuds, 3 interceptions. I think we could all agree, though, that at least a couple of those, 2 of those, probably not his fault, right? I know Matt LaFleur kind of was saying with the Amari Rodgers one that, wrong routes and all that sort of stuff, but at the same time, yeah, maybe kind of backing up his quarterback there a little bit. But what'd you think of Jordan Love? What'd you think of anybody else or anything else that kind of stood out to you? Maybe Amari Rodgers. Maybe for some of you, first time, got to see Mr. Dobbs performing out there. Got a touchdown. I think I kind of give you a little bit of what do you want to say? Well, one of my KPI high grade performers, Danny Davis, is going to make it tough for Green Bay to cut him, but I think he is a prime practice squad candidate. I think Green Bay is going to want to keep him on the practice squad, but even leading up to that game, you heard some positive stuff from Matt LaFleur. I know when I was down at practice for the first couple of days, he made a couple of nice plays during practice. But Danny Davis may be making it a little bit hard, former Badger on duty, the Packers to move on from him. But I think he's going to be a prime practice squad candidate there. But he had a couple nice catches, 45 yards, that touchdown there too. So. But that's definitely one guy who, arrow up for me. The rest of you, what'd you think? Positives and negatives, okay? Positives and negatives. You got to put on your scouting cap. Brewers falling yesterday. They couldn't secure a series win against the Cardinals. They're now 1.5 back from the St. Louis Cardinals in the division standings. They now begin a tough 4-game set against the Dodgers coming up starting tonight. But yesterday, with a series win on the line, Mr. Rogers struggling, picking up the loss, giving up 4 earned runs in the 8th there. But, man, couldn't lock it down. I mean, you look at the bullpen now. Biggest concern with this team. Kind of thought maybe they added some, a little bit more depth there with their moves, but you look at some performances so far, and it's like, yeesh, heck! And now you're welcoming the Dodgers now after dropping the series against St. Louis. You get rewarded by you get to go home, but welcoming the Dodgers right now. But do a little scoreboard watching here, kind of paying attention to the Cardinals, and such Cardinals they're going to be taking on the Rockies coming up. So let's go brutal. But how you feeling about this team right now, peeps? How you feeling about this Brewers team? Now, I was, not to kind of revisit the trade deadline, but depending on how this Brewers season finishes and ends up, I mean, it's going to be looked upon and scrutinized and armchair quarterbacked and Monday morning quarterbacked throughout the whole offseason. John Hyman, baseball insider, had some nuggets out there the other day. That's the Brewers, they were trying to trade for Jock Peterson with the Giants, that they were trying to trade for Josh Bell, who went to the Padres along with Juan Soto. But to that I say, well, try a little harder next time, maybe, to get those deals done. I don't know. I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference with how the Brewers have been performing since the trade deadline there. But I mean, how you feeling about this team? Are you starting to kind of check out a little bit more each and every day, or are you looking at like, okay, let's see how they do against the bad boys from LA, the Dodgers? They go out there and they take at least 3 out of 4 against the Dodgers. All right, let's go. That's the enthusiasm I'm looking for. That's the momentum. Let's go. Isn't it? This Dodger series coming up. I mean, you can take a look at yesterday's game too and be like, well, Aaron Ashby, he comes back and had a nice performance there. But Brewers again, out, and that's kind of been the theme since that deadline. Bullpen giving up games, lock everything down. Tonight, Freddie Peralta is going to get the start for the Brew Crew. Here's your pitching rotation for the Brewers. Woodruff will get to start tomorrow. Then you got Eric Lauer. And then Corbin Burns finishing up things. So, I mean, that's your top 4. That's your top 4 pitchers right there. You can't ask for a whole lot. Right? Yeah, I mean, that's your 4. Let's see if they can rise to the challenge. Step up to the plate. Pun intended. Bullpen just, come on. But, you're looking at some of the offense too, and Christian Yelich is struggling. Yeah. Last 27 at bats, just 3 hits. 3 hits. Got 3 walks in there too, but, for a while there, he was going on a nice little run. We were just talking about that a couple weeks ago, but now lately, he just can't get on base. Hopefully it turns around. Hopefully this team steps up and rises to the challenge of the Dodgers coming to town. But we'll see. We'll catch up on some local stuff too with our boy Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire. Coming up between 7 and 8 o'clock, the Express starting their postseason run yesterday. They fell in game 1 against Duluth. But they'll be back at Carson Park tonight for game 2. So get down to Carson Park, make that atmosphere loud, get her rolling, get her going, baby. Get a little home field advantage tonight, all right? And nothing else going on. Head down to Carson Park and let's get at it. So, but we'll catch up on some other local stuff too with Justice between 7 and 8 o'clock here this morning. We'll do some studs and duds. Any studs and duds from the weekend that you want to pass along over the last few days, you can hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Who made your studs and who made your duds list from this past weekend? I want to hear from you. Otherwise, you can tweet it at me too, at DANKASPER, at DANKASPER, or Facebook.com/Kasper. Or you can also comment on the YouTube live video stream if you'd rather go over there too. So, where do you guys want to lead off here this morning? Where do you want to lead off? Do you want to chat a little Brewers? Do you want to chat a little Green Gold? Should we mix them all together? Let's see what you guys have to say. All right, hit us up with some text. Hit us up with some tweets or Facebook. We can recap that Packers performance from Friday night, and then talk about the series loss against the St. Louis Cardinals. But yeah, let's do a little bit of a buffet. Let's do a little smorgasbord. We'll combine everything on there. All right. Who stood out to you? Did anything stand out to you from that preseason game Friday night? What were your thoughts on Jordan Love? You know, don't just look at the box score. Don't look at the numbers. From your own eyeball test, did he pass? Did he pass the test for at least the first game? Give me some positives and negatives from all across the board in week 1 and preseason game numero uno. So get your pens and papers out, get your scouting notebooks out. Give me your thoughts on what you saw. Risers, fallers, all that good stuff. All right, let's get her going here this morning. Take that first break. Wisconsin Credit Union opening drive coming up in just a couple minutes. We'll talk some Packers. We'll talk some Brewers. All that fun stuff. College football is getting ready to kick off here in a couple weeks too.
Got a take on today's topics, but
Under 2 weeks. We are officially under 2 weeks from the second annual Kasper Classic, Princeton Valley Golf Course. Just got the 1 p.m. tee time up there, peeps. Got a few more left. Otherwise, this baby, a lot of you signing up. Love it. The title belts should be coming this weekend. I proved the mock-ups late last week, so they should be coming this week here. Winning team, each member gets themselves a title belt to display in their man cave, their office, living room, bedroom, wherever you want to put that thing, okay? It's $90 per team. Includes your round of golf cart, 6 free drink tickets, the lunch too. And by the way, too, like if you are a part of the 1 o'clock tee time, lunch starts at 12. So show up, around 12, check in, get your meal. Shout out Hy-Vee for that. But get your meal in, fill up the bellies, head out on the golf course. It'll go smooth. Really looking forward to this. My office is loaded up right now with some raffle prizes, some hole prizes, all that good stuff. So less than 2 weeks. Let's get this baby. Let's pray to the weather gods out there. We'll have some good weather. Probably just jinxed it right now, but hey, you never know. Benefiting Backyard Dreams. You all know that. So let's raise some money for some kiddos. I cannot wait to get out there. We'll be doing a show from Princeton Valley, right out on the golf course, probably at the clubhouse there. So we'll be out there next Friday doing the program live. Going to be doing it live. And if you're not a golfer, if you are not a golfer, you can still come on out and, buy a beer, hang out with us, shoot the you-know-what, talk a little ball, talk a little green and gold, maybe talk about the Brewers too. Depending on how they're doing, maybe that might be a touchy subject at that point, but you never know. So looking forward to it August 26th at Princeton Valley Golf Course. All right, let's kick this thing into gear. Wisconsin Credit Union opening drive here this morning. Your first impressions from this 2022/23 green and gold team, Packers team. Because let's overreact from one preseason game, the first preseason game, right? Let's overreact to this baby. Yeah, because that's what we do. Let's Monday morning quarterback this thing. Obviously a lot of people posted it up there on Friday on socials. What were you looking for? And that, and everybody just, I think, was kind of like, all right, number 10, Jordan Love. Big preseason for him, right? See if we've seen some growth heading into his third year. If it's not now, will it ever be there for Jordan Love? So, your impressions from what you saw from Love. KPI grade for me, I use the scale of 0 to 100 because, it's the typical school grades and all that sort of stuff, make it easy. I kind of went around to 78 was the number I kind of was throwing out there. So, if you're the old school grading system, I don't even know what the heck it is right now. But like when I was growing up, 70 to 79, was that C range, but it was like 77 to 79 was a C plus, so, C plus for Jordan Love. And I know some people had him ranked a little bit higher, but I don't, the 3 interceptions, a lot of people are going to look at that on his line in the box score and just like, what the heck happened to him? I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on a couple of those. The one that Tyler Davis goes through their hands. The Romeo Dobbs one, catches it, rolls over, interception. I mean, I don't fault Jordan Love for those. The Amari Rodgers one, I know Matt LaFleur was saying, Rodgers should have done this. A couple receivers ran the wrong route, that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm still gonna knock Love on that one just a little bit. So I think that's fair. But taking all that out, just kind of looking at him, I thought Jordan Love looked a little bit more poised, looked a little bit more confident, was a little bit more aggressive. He missed a couple throws. Missed a couple, Dobbs early on that deep throw. Just a little bit out there. Comes back down, hits Dobbs with a nice slant fade. Kind of a little reminiscent of a Devontae Adams popular route. But overall, I thought Jordan Love looked better than what he did last year. Remember last year, even though it was his second year, that was his first preseason game. And I remember being in the stadium last year watching Jordan Love. I'm like, okay, he's got some zip on the ball. He's got a little bit of zip on the ball. But this year, and I thought he was, at times, all right, he's willing to go down the field with the football here a couple times, a little bit over the middle of the field. Maybe trusted, his legs a little bit more and that sort of thing. But I thought this year, if I'm comparing what I saw from this game to his first game last year in the preseason, he looked a little bit more poised. Not Aaron Rodgers poised, but he looked a little bit more poised. He looked a little bit more confident, a little bit more aggressive with the football down the field, throwing it down the field. And that's what I want to see out of the preseason. I want to see these youngsters be aggressive. I don't want to see them be, playing it safe. Because at times if you're playing it safe, it's like, okay, we don't really necessarily, maybe see the real player. See the real, like Brett Hundley had great preseason numbers. But kind of make the case, okay, well, did he play it a little bit safe? Was there some more checkdowns? Was there, easy passes getting it out of there? You look at Brett Hundley's, preseason numbers, and they're really good. But obviously that didn't transition into regular season action when he was in there. So I want to see these young quarterbacks be aggressive in the preseason, gain some confidence. All right, I can make that throw down the field. So if you do come into the regular season and you get some snaps in the regular season, you already got that confidence. Like, I know I can make that throw. And it gives your play caller too, your head coach in this case, some more confidence. Like, yeah, we can call this play. He's proven he can do it, or he's done it. So I'm going, about 78, which might be a little bit low. I know some of the beat writers, had it a little bit higher. If they were to do a letter grade, they had like B minus and that sort of thing. But I always kind of grade a little bit harder. I don't know why, but yeah, I just want to see Jordan Love build upon it now. All right, he's got a base. He's got some stuff to work on, obviously, which is to be expected. But one in the books, you got two more to go. Build upon that, right? Let's see what we're going to get against the Saints on Friday night. Some other players or some other things that kind of stood out to me. Heading into the season, one of the players that were on my preseason watch list, like that undrafted player or that 7th round player that I think can make some noise and maybe, get on the roster. We kind of joke about it, the Lindsey Pipkins Award. One of those guys for me was going into this preseason was Tyler Goodson, the running back from Iowa. And he got a lot of playing time in this Friday night game. Obviously with no A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones activated and playing. Tyler Goodson, he got an opportunity to showcase some things and 12 carries, 37 yards. Also showcased that he can be a receiving threat. A couple catches in there, 24 yards too, and 3 targets. But I think Tyler Goodson, he showcased to me that he could be that old school, typical third down type of running back, a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, guy that can, run between the tackles on the outside zone, outside zone run scheme and that. We look at how much Aaron Jones has improved in the passing attack. A.J. Dillon, I think, surprised a lot of people how effective he is in the passing game. Tyler Goodson, I think, can also be that guy. And, with Hill still on the PUP list, this is an opportunity for Tyler Goodson, I think, to kind of come in here and win that job. And win that job as the third running back on this depth chart. I like Patrick Taylor. He reminds me, I said it last year, a little bit of a James Starks type of running back. They brought back Dexter Williams because, they needed some more running back depth there. He looked pretty fresh after coming off of the USFL. Maybe a possibility he can, get some more opportunities. BJ Baylor was also involved in there, but I really liked what I saw from Tyler Goodson. I liked what I saw from him. So I'm going to go about, let's go with a little 75. I'm going to go with the 75. Receiving wise, everybody was looking at Romeo Doubs, right? Just like anxious to see 87. And we thought we were going to get a touchdown right away from him, but, as we mentioned, a little overthrown from Jordan Love there. But he comes back with a slant fade, gets that touchdown on 4th down. Now, he had a tough catch in traffic, dropped a couple easy ones. Obviously, that interception there where he had it, lost it in like the rollover, that sort of thing. But, for the first time for a lot of people seeing Mr. Doubs in action, 3 catches, 45 yards. He was targeted quite a bit, 7 targets in this game. Jordan Love, that was his guy out there. But, I'd go probably about a 76, that sort of thing. But Danny Davis, I think and these are just very limited, opportunities here. But Danny Davis, to me, it was like about an 81, 82. And before anybody says anything, it's like, just like 2 catches, 45 yards on 2 targets. But this is a guy that I think is just on the bottom of the depth chart here. I don't think he makes the team, but he's going to make it hard on Goody and LaFleur. Like, he's going to, before that game, he was getting kind of talked about. Matt LaFleur was talking about him. He was making a couple plays earlier in training camp. And then goes out there and makes a couple nice plays right away. He just seems like he's going to be a prime practice squad player. Maybe eventually will be on the active roster at some point this season. But Danny Davis, he looks like a guy that's comfortable out there. He doesn't look like a guy where the lights are too bright for him. Just solid overall. To me, for one grade, Tyler Davis. I'm going like a 61, maybe even a little bit lower. Not only for that drop pass that led to that interception, but he missed a couple of blocks on that line for a guy that was getting a lot of talk leading into it from Goody, from LaFleur. Thinking, okay, could Tyler Davis be a surprise player this year? Could he actually be a tight end that, is going to get some opportunities? And especially, we didn't know when Bobby Tunyon was going to be coming back. That was not a good performance from Tyler Davis. Especially, he was kind of being talked up a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe just for me, I was like, okay, let's see what this guy's got. Let's see what he can bring to the table. You got your GM and you got your coach talking about him. I want to see some things, and I get it. It's just preseason, but first reactions, first thoughts on it, didn't look that great in my opinion. So he's about 61, 62. Amari Rodgers. How about Amari Rodgers, everybody? Got that touchdown. 1 catch, 22 yards. Got the good kick return. Maybe feeling a little bit more confident with Amari Rodgers there. I'm looking in that 70s there too. 75, 74 on there. But a good start for Amari Rodgers. Hopefully get some more opportunities in these next couple games here. Offensive line. Now, I thought they held their own. But I'm taking it with a grain of salt, just a little bit, because you didn't go up against a whole lot of scheming. You didn't go up against a whole lot of stunts and that sort of thing. But for the most part, I thought they did a solid job of holding their own. Now, Jake Hansen towards the end got flagged for a couple of penalties. Got to clean that stuff up. Yash, I thought, did a great job. Myers, of course, their starting center, getting the work in. He was good. Now I'm just kind of curious to see where Elton Jenkins fits in the whole picture. For what it's worth, yesterday he was doing the individual drills, but he was doing them as a right tackle. He was working on like his get off as a right tackle. Now he was asked about it, what position he's going to play, and he downplays like, tomorrow could be left tackle, next day could be guard, next day could be center. Just kind of going out there. But it is going to be interesting to see where Green Bay puts him once he's like fully back. I can't imagine he'll play in a preseason game here, but where will they insert Elton Jenkins on this line? Is it going to be right tackle? Then they just put Royce Newman back at guard. I thought it was a little interesting yesterday at practice too. John Runyon Jr., who got, he was a starting left guard, kind of penciled him in there. Well, in the 2-minute drill, it sounds like Zach Tom got the majority of the reps first. Then they went back to Runyon there. But I mean, could we have a little bit of a battle there at left guard potentially? Maybe. Remember last year too, Runyon Jr. didn't have that great of a preseason, but picked it up and had a solid regular season. So I don't know, maybe something to kind of watch with that offensive line this week, leading into the joint practices and the game against the Saints there. But for the most part, I thought the offensive line held their own. Defensively, Jean Charles, I love that guy, making some plays. I mean, you look at the depth at corner. We know the top three. So there's a little bit of a battle between number 4. So Shamar John Charles was a draft pick last year out of Appalachian State. Made a couple plays. Made a few plays in that game. He's a prototypical, when you look at his body size, you're thinking, that's a straight up slot corner. 5'10", 5'9". I've seen it in a couple different places. 184. He was a 5th round pick last year. But, you're kind of looking at it. I think there's a little bit of a battle with that 4th corner spot. And I think he's the leader in the clubhouse. And I thought he made a couple nice, solid plays in the game, in that preseason game, which solidifies his stance, in my opinion, as that 4th corner right now in the depth chart. But speaking of the secondary, Green Bay's got to find some depth in that back end with that safety group. I don't know if it was a lot of miscommunication, just, some new guys back out there, but one of the position groups that a lot of, people were kind of talking about that there's some concerns with depth was safety. Outside of Adrian Amos and Savage, who's next, right? Who would be the third safety? And I think if you're looking at it right now, it's there was a couple of plays in that game where it was just a little concerning. So potentially, got Vernon Scott, I think, was the guy getting the first reps as, the third safety, but now Savage is, out with the injury, of course, and then so thrusted in that starting role there. But you'd like to see a little bit better play from that safety group. So that was one of the downfalls from me in watching that. The back end of that secondary. The starters are great. We're talking about it. The top 12, if you will, if we want to do it like a nickel style defense or anything like that. The top 3 corners are good. The top 2 outside rushers are good. The inside linebackers, top ones are good, that sort of thing. But the depth wise at safety, there might be a little bit of concern there. But we'll see if they can do a little bit more improvement coming up here with this week. Now that they got a game under their belts and that sort of thing. But what are you guys' thoughts? All right, hit me up with some texts. Who stood out to you? What stood out to you from preseason action number 1? Hit me up with some texts, 715-830-1912. And remember, really, when you look at it, the starters that did play, mostly the offensive line. Saw Quay Walker get in there for a little bit. Just kind of getting him some action there. I thought it was interesting that Isaiah McDuffie got a lot of playing time right away ahead of Chris Barnes. When you were looking at Isaiah McDuffie, second-year guy out of Boston College, he looked good. I mean, I'd probably give him around an 80. But I thought it was kind of interesting that he was getting reps right away ahead of Chris Barnes. Now, maybe it was just so that they could give McDuffie a little bit of an opportunity, against San Francisco's 1s and 2s, just to kind of see what he could bring to the table, what Isaiah McDuffie could bring to the table. We saw him play a little special teams last year, no defensive snaps, but hey, I thought he looked solid. Worth noting, too, two former Packers, if you're looking at the box scores, in terms of tackles, 2 former Packers led the 49ers in tackles. Oren Burks, 8 total tackles, 6 solo. Kadar Holman, the corner, 5 tackles, 5 solo. Just throwing that out there, in case anybody was wondering. But your thoughts, all right? Hit me up, okay? 715-830-1912. But the Packers getting some big-time news yesterday with Elton Jenkins, Christian Watson, Robert Tonyan, all getting activated. I think it's absolutely huge that Tonyan getting activated. He didn't even have a sleeve on his knee yesterday in practice. Receiving threat there. Guy Aaron trusts. Guy Aaron already knows. I think he's going to go week 1. Elton Jenkins, we'll see. I'm just kind of curious now, like if Bakhtiari starts the season on the PUP list, where does Elton Jenkins line up? I feel like it's going to be right tackle. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be right tackle. And then when Bakhtiari comes back, if Yash would go back to the bench and Bakhtiari's left, you got Elton on the right. But we'll see. We'll see at this point. Christian Watson, I'm not expecting a whole lot right now because I think he's got more of an uphill climb coming at him just to, kind of catch up with everything. But, I mean, he needed to get back on that field, and hopefully he can, cram in a bunch of stuff and get up to speed here fairly quickly. I don't know if he'll play against the Saints coming up here. I don't know if Christian Watson will, but he's got to get that time in with Aaron for sure. No doubt about it. All right, we got to take a quick break, but we'll check out some texts coming up here too. Join in the convo, peeps. Text, tweet, Facebook, YouTube, all that good stuff. We'll be back after these words. Coming up on Wednesday, we're kicking it off, the Pro Football Happy Hour program, 2 to 3. Join us for happy hour, a little football-style happy hour right up there. We're going to talk some fantasy. We're going to talk some betting lines, recaps, analysis, all that good stuff. So everything kicks off this Wednesday right here in your radio dials, 2 to 3 p.m. Can't check it out. It's put up in podcast form, available on the Sports Talk website there. So check it out this Wednesday. We'll be kicking off the Pro Football Happy Hour. So catching up with a couple of things here. We got Goody on Twitter. I'd agree. I was thinking C+ for love. Biggest concern wasn't the picks. It was the struggles with the check downs. Living a dream, Jeff. Good morning, Dan. Welcome back. Appreciate that, sir. Packers offensive line seemed to play fairly well without too many mental errors, although I'm not sure who all played for the 49ers. Telecast wasn't very informative on their players. Defensive line seemed to do well for the guys that played. Pretty good containment and pressure on the quarterbacks. Love looks better, but his footwork is still inconsistent, which may cause his accuracy to be off at times. I think he tends to throw a ball a little high than I care for, which may have contributed to 2 of the interceptions. As for everything else, I have to go back and check everything else out. Living the dream. Surveyor Sam, good morning, DK, and the fellow listeners. Takeaways from the game, love. And I was going to bring this up. Surveyor texted me this during the game here too, but he said that takeaways from the game, 1, love reminds me of a poor man's Brett Favre. He has a beautiful deep ball and can scramble quite well, but can't throw the outs, and he makes some dumb decisions. 2, thank God Jenkins is coming back because our line needs help. 3, Trey Lance looks like a solid fantasy quarterback. So got that's an interesting comparison, and I think with the young Brett Favre, got some good, got some bad. Not saying Jordan Love is Brett Favre or going to be Brett Favre. That's not what Surveyor's going to sit. That's not what he's saying, but that's why I said poor man's. Yeah, Favre, kind of looking at some of the positives and the negatives to come from it. But we don't want to see Love. All right, start to stack success or start to stack games now. Make some improvements. And footwork has been talked a lot about Jordan Love in this training camp. And a lot of the reports out there, a lot of the talk, I should say, out there is that, it's starting to get better, the footwork. And a lot of that has to do with Tom Clements, the quarterback's coach. And, John Kuhn, I think, talked about it. By the way, John Kuhn, I thought, was really good on the telecast. I thought he was really good on there. But talked about, with Aaron Rodgers and the reason to bring back a guy like Tom Clements is that he was kind of saying that if you want to really hone in on the fundamentals of playing the quarterback position, working on, the fundamentals of that position, Tom Clements is your guy. And, I mean, Tom Clements has been in the league for how long, right? I mean, he is, and I don't know, maybe a little bit of a note. Kyler Murray's rookie year, his quarterback coach, Tom Clements. So you got a guy, kind of an old school maybe type of quarterback coach coming in, working with Jordan Love. I think that's going to be a benefit to Jordan Love. Maybe break it down, maybe break him down a little bit. He's going to have to change some things. But I think that's going to be a big-time benefit. We talked about Tom Clements, about, Aaron Rodgers and making Aaron Rodgers happy in that. But I don't think there's been a whole lot of talk about Tom Clements coming in and really kind of being a benefit to Jordan Love. So we'll see how he kind of progresses in these next couple of weeks here. But I think that's something to kind of consider when we talk about, Tom Clements coming back and making Aaron Rodgers happy and this, that, and the other thing. But I think he has a chance to be a real benefit for Jordan Love here too. And Tom Clements ain't going to be sticking around for a long time, right? He's 70? Came out of retirement this year. I mean, I almost kind of feel like whenever Aaron hangs him up, Tom Clements is probably going to hang him up. So hopefully Jordan Love absorbs a lot from Tom Clements right now. But it'll be interesting too because tomorrow by 3 o'clock our time, roster reductions, our first wave of roster reductions. Now, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of like earth-shattering stuff. They just got to go from 90 to 85. Okay. So you might even have some like a guy is put on the, maybe on injured stuff and all that. There won't be any like eye-popping, like holy crap sort of cut downs. At least, watch, knock on wood, there probably will be. But, just to kind of keep that in the back of your mind tomorrow. 3 p.m. is the deadline. Maybe we'll see some moves from Green Bay today. Maybe we will see them all tomorrow. But, we start that process now. Kind of slowly trimming away the roster to that initial 53. But with Elgton Jenkins back, let me throw this out. Assume David Bakhtiari doesn't start the season. Okay? Let's go with that assumption. Where do you want Elgton Jenkins on the offensive line? Okay? Hit me up with a text. Where do you want Elgton Jenkins starting the season on the offensive line? Let's assume 69 isn't playing. Are you putting Elgton Jenkins at left tackle? Or are you going to keep Yash there, put Elgton at right tackle, keep him there, and then when and if Bakhtiari comes back, he goes left tackle, Yash, would go to the bench and be the swing backup tackle? Or do you put Elgton at one of the guard spots? Does he go back to his left guard position? Then you kind of maybe have a little bit of a battle at right guard. If you throw in John Runyon Jr. and Hanson and Royce Newman. And maybe, Royce Newman is your starting right tackle. We got options. Maybe not the greatest options. Maybe not a lot of experience at some of those options, but there's options. But where would you put Elgton Jenkins? And this is a big year in terms of moolah, in terms of money for Elgton Jenkins. He's going to be a free agent. He probably wants to play one of those tackle positions, right? Play some tackle, earn some more money. He's already displayed he can play a pretty solid left tackle. So it's a big year for him to earn some moolah. Same for Bobby Tunyon. Remember, Bobby Tunyon signed a one-year deal to come back, and he was kind of maybe last year going to be heading into the offseason, maybe looking for a nice long-term contract, but that ACL injury really derailed it. So he's going to be looking to cash in this year too. Big year for him. Got a lot of guys playing for some big contracts next year. Alan Lazard, all that stuff. That's where, to me, it's like, all right, let's get that championship this year. Okay. Coming up next hour, we'll talk some more Brewers. Brewers fans, how you feeling? You got this series against the Dodgers coming up. 4 games. You're 1.5 back from the Cardinals. You lost that series against the Cardinals. Is this series kind of, I hate to say this in the middle of August, but you got football starting up. Basketball schedules are starting to leak out. Bucks at Celtics on Christmas Day, in case you haven't heard. But is this like the series for you? It's like, all right, you take 3 out of 4. I'm still in it. I'm still into the Brewers. Still, let's go. Let's get this thing done. Or if they drop 3 out of 4 or something like that, it's like, I ain't going to get there now. What are your thoughts, okay? Hit me up. 1 hour in already. 2 more to go. We'll talk. We'll catch up with Justice Cleveland. Get some local stuff in it. We'll get back some more football talk as well. Who stood out to you or what impressed you? What didn't impress you from Friday night's game? I want to hear from you. We'll be back after these words.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
Now, coming out of a weekend and into a new week, we stretch that lens to one of our bigger cities and a violent weekend in Milwaukee. 7 of the 9 people shot over the weekend in that city were shot on Saturday, including a double shooting that left one person dead. Police say there were also shootings on Friday and Sunday. Milwaukee police are on pace to see nearly 1,000 non-fatal shootings this year. Here locally and closer to our own backyard, we're set to learn the price tag for Eau Claire school referendum. And maybe later tonight, we'll know more about the numbers. City board is set to meet, and with 715 newsroom coverage, John DeMaster set with details.
The city school board is set to meet tonight and should set the price for the tax increase question. That's going to be on the November ballot. Eau Claire schools are asking for more money to make upgrades at a handful of different schools. There is some worry that voters won't support a tax increase for both the schools and the city itself. Both will be on the ballot this fall. I'm John DeMaster.
On the national scene with the Wisconsin connection, the inventory of last week's search warrant for Donald Trump's Florida estate includes several categories of classified documents that were seized by the FBI. Heading into the weekend, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson telling reporters that he wasn't overly concerned.
I think Mar-a-Lago is a pretty safe place. It has Secret Service protection. Sounds like these documents might have been in a safe. So no, I'm not overly concerned about some top secret information getting leaked out.
Johnson, who serves on the Senate Homeland Security Committee, said the former president, quote, declassified a bunch of material, end quote, before leaving office. Johnson has been a strong supporter of Trump and is up for re-election in November. Continuing on the political stage, we do have the price tag for the investigation in the 2020 election in Wisconsin, and that's likely going to continue to grow. There are several lawsuits surrounding the Gableman investigation that have yet to be settled, and those costs going forward. And there will be costs for those going forward despite Gableman's firing. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos fired Gableman heading into the weekend, and so far the investigation, they figure, has cost more than $1 million, including over $250,000 in fines in open records cases. You probably don't need the earplugs to walk in Carson Park now, but it was home to dozens of U.S. Open Chainsaw Sculpture Championships over the weekend, so dozens of artists competed and showcased their skills there. Eau Claire's been home to that championship
that getting that victory meant so much for him, for how many four runner-up finishes in his career, still a relatively short career, nearly wins a major. You had all that drama built up. Then you're going to tell me the Live Tour is going to be able to deliver on that with, AC/DC blaring in the background. I don't know. I don't understand who that tour is for. It's not for me. That's just how I figure. When I watch golf, I don't want it to sound like an NBA game. I want to hear the crowds. I think that's the thing about golf, is it's almost all natural. The crowd going nuts when Zalatoris made that putt. The crowd's reaction to the ball bouncing 12 times on the rock before it stopped, before going in. I don't know. That's just the stuff. There's a reason why you watch these sports. I don't need it not, kicked up to 11.
Right.
I can go on the course and I'll have my Bluetooth speaker on and listen to music. That's fine. But when I come home, I'm watching the PGA Tour. That's not what I'm into. But I know there's a lot of people that are. So, to each their own. But yeah, for me, I just don't see who the Live Tour is for.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how this whole rule. I don't think they'll change their rules sort of thing. But yeah, when you kind of think about it, it's like, how many times are we like assessing a misplay or miscall the next day and that sort of thing? Yet the PGA can go out there. And I know baseball, you can play under protest, right? You can do that.
Never.
Never
I think
happens.
the Pine Tar game is the only game I can remember that actually got changed because of playing under protest. But yeah, I think, and if what I remember, they changed that whole thing with anonymous tips.
Okay.
Like people being able to report. Because that's just kind of weird to have, like me calling into the NFL and telling somebody that he stepped out of bounds a day later.
Right. Exactly.
It was just you got to leave it to the officials that are there on the course, or people that are part of the PGA. You shouldn't have people watching a replay at home having that much power.
Yep, I agree. Hey, we got a few sports nuggets of the day before we kind of deep dive into some local stuff here. 1970, Mrs. Pat Palinkas became the first woman to play in a pro football game when she held the ball for the Orlando Panthers. I don't know why they've Mrs. Pat Palinkas. So, 1984, Pete Rose returned to become player and manager for the Reds. He had been away from his hometown for 6 years. Rose had been in Philadelphia and Montreal.
Well, that ended well too. I don't think there was anything bad that came out of him coming back to Cincinnati.
No,
nothing.
So, 6 years later, in 1990, Mark McGwire hit a grand slam in the 10th inning to become the first major league player to hit 30 or more homers in his first 4 seasons. 1993, Nolan Ryan got his 324th and final victory. The Rangers beat the Indians 4-1. Dan Wilson hit the 3,000th Seattle Mariners home run. Remember Dan Wilson?
Yeah, he played for a long time for them, 92 to 2005.
Yeah. Dodgers, this day in 97 as well, retired Tommy Lasorda's number 2 jersey. Those are just some of your sports nuggets the day here. So let's catch up on some local stuff. First thing, baseball, the Express dropping their first playoff game against Duluth yesterday, but they'll be at Carson Park for game 2 tonight, Justice. Is it best out of 3? Is it best out of 3? Okay. So,
so if they win tonight, then game 3 would be back at Carson Park on Tuesday as well.
Okay.
And Carson Park has been, they have played not just great, but outstanding there. I believe they're 28-8 at Carson Park this year. And I think that was the first time Duluth had even beaten the Express this season, if I'm not mistaken, according to the broadcast. So, yeah, this is a big game. Obviously, it's win or go home for everybody there. So I think they can come back and bounce back and use that Carson Park magic that they've had and try to take 2 in a row from the Huskies and move on. But yesterday was a tough game. I mean, it was a back and forth battle. They got the lead early. Duluth battled back. Then it was tied for a long time until Duluth kind of busted it open late in the game to get the victory. So that team is scrappy. They have good pitching. They have good fielders. They have good players. And it's so much consistency with that lineup that, yeah, I think they have a chance here to come back home here tonight and get the victory. I think it's a 7:00 start for the Express tonight.
So get down to Carson Park if you got nothing going on tonight and cheer on the Express.
I'll be there.
Cheer on Justice Cleveland when
Don't
you're over
cheer
there
on
too. Don't
cheer on the Express. Feel free to boo me if you want. Just don't throw anything.
Hey, that's not nice. Come on. But they would play the if the Express win their next two and move on. They play the winner of Wilmer and St. Cloud, I believe, too, with that series.
Yes.
So,
Yep, because then on the other side you have Traverse City and somebody else I can't think of. But
Kalamazoo, Growl.
Kalamazoo, thank you. And then you get the Woodchucks and Wisconsin Rapids battling over there as well. So a lot of Wisconsin teams, if 3 teams have a chance to win the title. So it would be great if if the Express could make it, and get a chance to face off against one of those Wisconsin teams.
I agree. Also a big week because we got high school football starting this week, don't we, Justice?
Right. I want to also add with the baseball part, the 14U and 15U.
Yes.
Babe Ruth teams are battling. 14U got a win over in Williston yesterday, so they're 1-1 in pool play, and they'll play again some point today. I think it's at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. And then over in Virginia, the 15U team lost a hard one yesterday, so they fall to 0-2 in pool play. They continue as well today against the host team. So, yeah, congratulations to those kids and just how hardworking, and it just, again, showing how the pipeline of baseball in Eau Claire continues. But, yes, moving on to high school football, it is the week that we kick things off.
So looking at the first couple weeks, for some of these teams, it's not conference play, right? So, I mean, like the Big Rivers, they don't start off conference play right away, do they?
Yeah, most of them will still have a non-com, especially the first week. So
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's any that actually have conference games, but I think most of them, if not all of them, are non-conferences first week.
Gotcha. So, I mean, when you kind of look at, we don't have any games to kind of analyze or anything like that, but when you kind of look at it based off of last year, maybe some returns, who are some of the teams that are maybe kind of catching your eye or you think could have a darn solid season this year?
Well, I was looking at on Thursday night, we got a matchup of the Big Rivers co-champions from last year, and that's being Menominee and Rice Lake, but Rice Lake no longer in the Big Rivers for football, so it's a non-conference matchup. Rice Lake moving to the middle border, and they'll take on Menominee. So that, to me, that's the matchup I want to see, is these two teams that are, both have always a potential to make it to state, matching up right away. And Menominee's, with Mike Sins did a great job in his first year with a lot of pressure on him, obviously, when you were replacing Joe Labuda. So I think that'll be a fun game to watch coming up that's Thursday night. And Eau Claire Memorial, they'll be on the field as well on Thursday night. They take on La Crosse Logan. So a few good games. And then Bloomer and going over to Somerset, and that's a big game because Somerset's going to honor late coach Bruce Larson, who passed away earlier this year. Going to be a Wisconsin Football Hall of Famer, and was coach of the year, led him to state numerous times. So that'll be an emotional game over there in Somerset for Bloomer to take on them. So, and Chi High will go to Holman. Again, those are just Thursday matchups. We're just, just breaking just starting things off there. And then Elk Mountain goes up to Spooner as well. So, yeah, it's going to be fun just kicking it off on Thursday. And then Friday, things get even more interesting. La Crosse Central will be at North. Altoona and Fall Creek. Always fun to see Chad Hansen versus Tyler Mickelson. There is a lot of charisma on the sidelines there. Osseo Fairchild, starting off with a new head coach there. They'll take on Cumberland. Cadott, Stanley Boyd. You got another old Clover Belt rivalry there now. Cadott moved to the Dun St. Croix. But again, it's kind of like that Menominee and Rice Lake. These are very familiar opponents renewing a rivalry in non-conference. And, that's a neat one because what is it? 15 miles between Cadott and Stanley, but probably less than that.
I think it's less, yeah.
Yeah. Spring Valley and Durand, that's a good matchup there too. That used to be, a Dun St. Croix matchup. So that's kind of the neat thing you're getting here in these non-conferences. It's kind of like a renewal of, once they reset the conferences a few years ago, these teams are still playing those rivalry games. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games. I'm not going to go down the whole list, but I'm just saying it's going to be fun. And then on Saturday, Regis will get into action as well. They'll be at home, so they take on Prescott. So you have 3 days there to catch some good high school football. It's going to be a good kickoff to the season.
Yeah, no doubt. You mentioned the Menominee and Rice Lake one. I mean, holy moly, way to set the tone right away for both those teams.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's a good test, just straight out. Two head coaches that are really good at getting the fundamentals down. So, yeah, that to me, that's a big matchup there. And it's nice that, here in Eau Claire, 3 straight days of games at Carson Park as well to start the year. So, yeah, good chance for anybody who wants to catch their high school and get their high school football fix to get out there and catch some games.
And we got for North, we got a new head coach over there too, so kind of a new era over there with Eau Claire North.
Right, exactly. And last year North got that win. They got that losing streak out of the way. And went over there and talked to them, and there's confidence, and they got good numbers this year too. And they're the seniors on that team, you get that win. They want some more success, obviously, than they've had. And that talking to them, they have the feeling that they can come away with some wins this year. So, yeah, that's a good thing. You can build up that confidence and get out there and hit the field, and we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, and maybe get some consistency over there too, because I know they've kind of juggled back and forth, changing staffs all the time there too. So, be nice to get a little consistency over there, hopefully. Right. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to see them succeed. You really do. You want to see them come out there and get to that point where we're not thinking about the past and they're looking towards the future. So I hope they can get there. I really do.
Yep, definitely. And then for the other fall sports too, are they still kind of going through practice and volleyball and golf and soccer and that, or do we got some games off the top of your head kind of coming up here?
Yeah, tennis and golf are going as we speak now.
Okay.
The tennis, I think they had some invitations. I saw Regis, the Saints. I think they're coupling with McDonald. So the Saints got a victory at an invitational over the weekend. So there's a few of those tennis invites. I know Chi High is hosting Holman today. And then golf-wise, yeah, the girls' golf is in full swing. They'll be at Lake Hallie. I believe they have a invite. Eau Claire North does today. So those are in full swing, while the volleyball and soccer and cross country all starting practices today. So there's probably a few of people out there just waking up, getting ready to go to their first practices of the year as those sports get going. I know David Kite was counting down the days, Eau Claire Memorial's head coach, until he hit the field. So yeah, we're going to be starting next week. The school will be almost back in session about 2 weeks from now. So sports are picking up.
Kind of weird. We're already talking about fall sports, but here we are. So,
indeed. Well, it felt like fall over the weekend. So
that's true. A little. This morning with the fog, a little chill. Depending on what time you were up this morning and maybe walking outside. But
yeah, it's still out there a little bit. There's still good haze.
Yep. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we're gonna chat a little Brewers baseball. Brewers fans, how you feeling about after this weekend dropping the series against the Cardinals? They had an opportunity yesterday, but bullpen can't lock it down. Are you looking at this 4-game series against the Dodgers as a do or die type of situation? What's your stance on the Brewers right now? Plus, we'll get Justice's thoughts on what he saw from Friday night's epic preseason game against the 49ers. Yeah, overreactions from preseason game number 1. But let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes chatting some Brewers baseball.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
What's something you can't get for $14.99? A ticket for a day at the water park. Something you can get for $14.99? A month of unlimited car washes at Clean and Classy. Something you can't do in 5 minutes? Get through the mega water slide line. Something you can do in 5 minutes? Get a spring clean car at Clean and Classy on West Claremont and off Hastings on Brackett Avenue. Wash your car more than once a month? A monthly pass is going to save you money. Make your car clean and classy.
I know it's summer, and the last thing you're probably thinking about right now is the fall and winter months. But if you're a hunter, those months are always on your mind. Right now, you're scouting and game planning for the next hunting season. Deer, duck, turkey, bear. You're checking those trail cameras and getting those food plots ready. But while you focus on that part of your preparation for the next hunting season, don't forget about your gear, specifically that hunting rifle or shotgun. If you're looking for a new hunting rifle or shotgun, look no further than Tilden Gun. There's no debating it. Tilden Gun has the best selection in the Chippewa Valley, all at the best price. Whether you're looking for new or used, ammo or accessories, Tilden Gun has the selection to fit your needs for the upcoming hunting season. Stop in and visit with Sean, and he'll help you find just what you're looking for. And you can also visit tildengun.com to see what they all have to offer. Summer is going to fly on by, people, and before you know it, it's hunting season. Make sure you're ready for the upcoming hunting season with the help from Tilden Gun.
When severe weather hits and the power goes out, do you have a plan? For reliable power and peace of mind, propane can do that. It only takes about 10 seconds for a propane-powered generator to restore power to your home. So no matter what Mother Nature has in store, you know you're prepared. Learn more at wipga.org. This message is sponsored by your local propane provider and the Wisconsin Propane Education and Research Council.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Hey, remember how 20 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, now it's the future, and I used all those savings to buy this new hologram phone. Because, it's the future, and everything is holograms now.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Hey, it's Alex here to talk about the Shoe Doctor. And if you remember last summer, I had to stop going on my daily bike rides because I developed plantar fasciitis in my feet. I missed biking in my favorite season, fall. Well, I visited Kevin at the Shoe Doctor, and he said, easy fix, custom orthotic shoe inserts, like it was just a no-brainer. And you know what? He was right. I'm back out enjoying our beautiful weather on my bike, and he can help you with your foot aches and pains before they sideline you. It's Kevin and the Shoe Doctor across from Hy-Vee, off Claremont in Eau Claire.
River Country Co-op wants to help you put some gas in your tank. It's the River Country Co-op Cenex Small Town Gas Pass giveaway. The River Country Co-op Cenex Small Town Gas Pass giveaway of the week is the Merrill and Boyd Cenex stores. All you have to do is stop on in at the Merrill and Boyd Cenex store this week only to register to win a $50 gas card. No purchase necessary. Don't miss out on your chance to win some free gas. Get to these River Country Co-op Cenex stores now to enter.
Get ready to save half with half-off deals. It's a great way for you to get goods and services that you will love, and you don't have to pay full price. Start saving this Friday, August 19th, with Total Lawn Solutions. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save with this week's half-off deals. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to around715.com.
Sports. You love it. We love it. And quite frankly, I don't trust anyone who doesn't love it. Do you?
Is that a serious question?
The Dan Kasper Show.
Be a part of the nation, the Sports Talk Nation. Just head to sportstalk1051.com. Click on the Nation tab over there and become a part of the nation for free, where you'll be able to win some prizes like some tickets to the Wisconsin Sports Show that's up there right now. Also, you'll be eligible to get the Green and Gold Chalk Talk newsletter sent to you every week through your emails, bunch of different stuff. So when we ever have prizes and giveaways and some contests, which we got a couple of them coming up at the bottom part of this month, some pick'ems and some Survivor League pick'ems. You want to make sure you're participating in that. But it's all available at sportstalk1051.com through the Sports Talk Nation. So sign up there for free. It's just your name, email, boom, bada bing. You're golden. So if you're not a member already, the heck you doing? Sign up and take care of that. Already past 7:30. We're just cruising on here this morning. So Justice, Brewers falling to the Cardinals this past week and dropping that series. Maybe kind of looked like they were going to get it done yesterday. Then Rogers, not a terrific outing, giving up 4 earned runs. So the Brewers dropping that series to the Cardinals. Now 1.5 back in the standings for the division. And Brewers get to return home, but waiting for them is now the Dodgers for 4 straight games, while the Cardinals, if you're doing a little scoreboard watching, getting set for the Colorado Rockies. So where are you on this Brewers team right now, Justice? Are you still like, all right, come on, we can still do this, we can still punch that ticket to the postseason, or are you looking at this series as almost like a do or die for the Brewers?
I don't know if it's do or die, but it's going to be a great test. I mean, these last 2 series, obviously with St. Louis being we're chasing in the division, but this one too feel like playoff series because they just show you where you're at. And when you're the Brewers, yeah, you need to play them like their playoff series because you're trailing right now and you're trailing in the wild card as well. So yeah, they need to it's a big series. I'm not gonna say do or die because I think we still got enough season left, but yeah, you get swept 4 games, that would be a hole. That could be a do or die. So I think you need a split at least with the Dodgers, but a series win would be huge. Just to maybe get the confidence going. I think, last week wasn't a horrible week. Yeah, I think they went 3-2 overall, so they had a winning week, but you would have loved to get that game yesterday and walk out of St. Louis with a lead in the division, but now you're back a game and a half against the Cardinals, who obviously the Rockies aren't quite what the Dodgers are, and the Dodgers have been pretty much red hot since the trade deadline. It's like San Diego made all the moves, and then the Dodgers said, okay, well, guess what? Try to catch us because you're not going to. So I think it'll be a fun series. And honestly, the Brewers bullpen, yes, still in question. Still, Taylor, you get Rogers to come in there, and his job is to basically replace Josh Hader. Unfortunately, he's pitching just like Josh Hader is in San Diego, so that doesn't help. So, yeah. By the way, I checked out Hader's stats since the beginning of July. He's got an ERA of 12.
Oof.
And he's given up 16 earned runs in just 12 innings pitched. So he's had some struggles, 5 home runs. But the crazy thing is that those games that he's pitched in, the teams are 10-4.
Really?
So he hasn't made too much of a big difference in the games where he's struggled. But yeah, it's not like having Josh Hader we don't know. We don't know if it would have changed anything
right
for the way this team has been playing as well. So I just think there's a lot of season left here, and I still think there's a lot of competitive juices flowing with that Brewers team. So I don't think it's a make or break series, but you can't get swept. You got to try to get at least a split here against the Dodgers.
We got to see if it's kind of an old cliche, but who's going to rise up to the challenge? Who's going to rise up to the spotlight? Who are going to be the players to lead this ball club? Because this is a huge series. I mean, it would have been a huge series regardless, if the Brewers were still in first by a couple games or what. But now, they're chasing the Cardinals and that sort of thing. So I want to see who rises up, as you mentioned, confidence, even like morale, just from the players, but I think even from the fan base there too. It's just something positive to kind of get on board with this series.
Yeah, and you have your best pitchers going. You have Peralta tonight, Woodruff tomorrow, Lauer will go on Wednesday, and then Burns on Thursday. So I mean, you have the heart of your pitching rotation that will be in this series. So that's, to me, that's also a huge thing to see, is what they can do against this Dodgers lineup, because potentially you have a chance to meet up with the Dodgers once again in the postseason. So you got to show that you are going to be worth that challenge. And if you can come at home against the Dodgers in a pivotal series and pitch well, I mean, that would be something that would really, really energize that team.
Yeah, no doubt. So you, at bare minimum, you want to split. I mean, obviously we would love a sweep and all that, but bare minimum, it needs to be a split this week.
I think so. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen with Colorado and St. Louis, but I think a split is what you need, because you just don't want to come out of this series with a losing series, because then you get, say what you will about the Cubs, but going to Wrigley and playing 3 games right after that is not easy. And then you got the Dodgers right after the Cubs again. So, I mean, 7 games against the Dodgers in the next week and a half.
Yeah.
That's tough against a team that arguably, is the best in the National League, and is a team that has spent a lot of money to try to get to the World Series. So if you can come away and at least split and maybe get 2 out of 3 in Los Angeles, that'd be a victory for me.
I know I have a buddy I could ask this to, and I should, but what do you think is like being a Padres fan right now? You make all those moves, and then you find out, hey, Fernando Tatis Jr. suspended, and then he won't be coming back this year, and he'll miss part of next year now too. I mean, ever since that guy signed a huge contract, he's been barely on the field, injuries and now suspensions and that. But I mean, gotta wonder what it's like to be a Padres fan. All this hope, and it's just not living up to it, or something derails it at that point.
Well, the funny thing is, you've heard people already talking, well, this wasn't going to be their year anyway. Next year's going to be their year. It's like, no, you don't make these moves for it to be next year.
Right.
Moves are for winning this year, and win 4 out of their last 10 is not what you were hoping for once you came out of that big trade, all those trades, not just one trade, all the trades they made, and getting some all-star players. So, yeah, it's got to be tough right now. And right now they'd be in the plus. They're sitting in that second wild card spot behind the Braves, and then the Phillies are even with them. Or the Phillies have the last spot, so the Brewers would be behind the Phillies right now. But yeah, I mean, if you make the playoffs, yeah, you're happy. But if they somehow slip and don't make the playoffs,
like last year they did,
right, there definitely could be some big changes there. Now you can't control as a GM what Tatis does like that. Obviously, that's when you hear that as a GM, you go, oh my goodness, you're about to come back. We're about to have all the pieces we need, and this happens. Yeah, it's got to be deflating right now. But again, they're still in the hunt. They got a win yesterday, so it's not over. It's not all doom and gloom, but it hasn't been what they probably imagined this was going to be after they made those moves.
I know we talk about records against teams over 500. Just looking at, because I've got the standings up for the National League. I mean, the Dodgers, I mean, they're just good overall. Doesn't matter who the hell they're playing. They're winning. But, you look at in the Mets, they're 11 games, 37-26 against teams over 500. But it's interesting to me when you look at some of the other ones. Cardinals, 28-31. They have a losing record against teams against 500 or 500 better. Braves have a losing record against teams who are over 500. Padres have a losing record against teams that are over 500, 28-32. Philly has a losing record against teams over 500, 29-33. Brewers, though, they're 500 against teams who are 500 and better.
Well, there you go.
So it's like, well, then what's the issue? Well, they're losing against teams they probably shouldn't be losing to.
Right.
Like that Pirates and was it the Pirates and Red series at the beginning of the month?
Yeah, I mean, it also says, I mean, there's a lot of bad teams.
Yeah.
But not really. I mean, there's nothing. You look in the National League and, well, the Nationals. I mean, the Nationals are 40 games under 500. So I'll give you that. But there's nothing. There's not like a group of those teams. So, but
there are only 5 teams that looks like that have winning records against ball clubs with a better than 500 record.
Right. So it's just one of those things where there's mad teams and teams are finding a way to beat them. So yeah, but that's the thing. The Brewers, they were beating the teams they were supposed to in the first half, and that was kind of the knock against them. But then now they've been playing better against teams with winning records the second half of the season, but then losing against the teams that they're supposed to beat. So yeah, you hope that this team can find some consistency here as we get in the last month and a half of the season.
Yeah. Just need something to kind of like get back on the, I don't want to say bandwagon, but I mean, you want some sort of confidence, right? I mean, you want to see something because I mean, I don't think anybody's picking the Brewers to win the World Series. Never say never, but if this team, they fall short, they don't make the postseason, can you imagine what all the offseason talk is going to be? It's going to be about that trade deadline.
And I'll say this, the Brewers need to keep people's imaginations going as the Packer season grows, because it's easy for people to just kind of like, okay, well, Packer season's here. Sorry, Brewer season's over. See you next April.
Yeah.
Yeah. They gotta keep people engaged. And I think they will. I don't think they're going to fade or anything like that. But I mean, this next week and a half will be a big part of that.
I agree. I mean, maybe to some small extent too, you got the NBA schedule leaking out through Christmas Day. Maybe a little chatter about the Bucks. I don't know, but by the way, Bucks playing Christmas Day in case anybody hasn't heard. So, when you're done opening the gifts, you got Bucks and Packers playing on Christmas Day again for the second straight year since the Packers played the Browns last year. But Bucks played Celtics last Christmas too, didn't they? Yeah, they did.
Yep,
well, a little back to back there. But
hey, on the major league note, I got a shout out to Taran Vavra for continuing to rake while he's in his Baltimore Orioles stint there right now. He's sitting 313 with 6 RBIs. So the Menominee native looking good and staying on the roster, and that's the big thing. That's obviously a team that is on the rise. So
they're 1.5 back from a wild card spot too.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's got to be fun to come up, and he's continuing what he's done in high school and in college. And that's just hit.
Yep.
13 in this day and age. I know it's a small sample size. He hasn't played as much as a lot of these guys, but he's doing what he did in college and in high school. So very cool to see.
Yes, definitely. We're going to have to get him back on the program Again, last time he was on, it was him and JP were on during the lockout. So,
it's funny you bring that up because of that trade. Guess who almost had a no hitter yesterday?
Oh, it was the Rays, right?
Yeah, Drew Rasmussen
Yeah.
almost pitched a no hitter. Looking at him, was like, man, after the Brewers traded him, he has just been kind of lights out.
Yep.
For Tampa Bay. That'd be a nice guy to have still around. But obviously, getting Willie Adames has paid off.
It has.
And then they swung the other guy they got in that trade to get Rowdy Tellez. So, in a way, that one has really kind of worked out for the Brewers. But it still was a tough trade to see JP get traded away. And then Drew Rasmussen excelling. But yeah, I think that in the long run, that one worked out pretty well for the Brewers.
Yeah, but I completely agree with you about, they got to, the creative ways to stay involved with the Brewers, I think, just win. The more games you win, the more, fans are going to kind of stay tuned to them.
If you get a sweep of the Dodgers or even, take 3 or 4, man, that will really energize the fan base. Because, I mean, that's like playing – it's like when you beat the Yankees in the American League.
Yep.
People, all eyes are on you. Most eyes are. And your Sports Center is going to be all over it because it's, the huge media market that is Los Angeles. So if you can beat them, not only would your state see it, but potentially nationally it'll reverberate too.
Right. Exactly. All right, we got to take a quick break. We got to restart the Zoom there too, Justice. So we'll do that during this break here. But coming up next, we'll get JC's thoughts on what he saw Friday night's Packers preseason game. For the rest of you, did anything or anybody stand out to you from what you saw in the game against the 49ers, preseason game number 1? What did you think about Jordan Love? If you had to put on your scouting cap, okay, and not necessarily the box score, look at that. But what did you think of Jordan Love? What do you think from what you saw from him? Hit us up with some text. 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back after these words.
Got a take on today's topics, but can't call in? Slide and let your
10 minutes to the top of the hour. Coming up and just past 8 o'clock, we'll get to our studs and duds from the weekend. If you got any studs and duds that you want to pass along, hit us up on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text, 715-830-1912. All right, we only got 10 more minutes left with JC in the EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire. So game one in the books, preseason game number one in the books. First question, how did Jordan Love look to you in your opinion? Did he pass the eyeball test?
Yes and no. Because sometimes I think his own eyeballs betrayed him. Not so much. The first two interceptions, I'm not going to put on him. The last one, I know in the press conference, Matt LaFleur said, well, it was a busted route and he had no choice to throw it. But did he have no choice to throw it into really good coverage?
Yeah.
That's what I was that's the first thing that went into my head is like, he really didn't have to throw it there. Like he could have thrown it away. So I think it was good to give him those reps. I really do. There were some throws that he made that were just like, wow. You can really see it. And this is kind of, I feel like this is like about the same time when Aaron Rodgers started to really make his strides when he was backing up Brett Favre. So, yeah, I think you take the good with the bad, especially when you really he has barely been on a playing field other than making the start last year. So it's good for him. And I think he's going to get plenty of reps here in the preseason. And we're really going to, for him, even if for anything, it prepares him if he has to come in. Which, with a 39-year-old quarterback, there's a good chance you're going to be playing at some point. So, yeah, I think I would have liked to see a little more of the running game getting started Packers. But then again, it's preseason, that first game. It's so hard to really know what you're going to see and what players are going to do. And you're using these lineups that are just kind of thrown together. So, but I even gave Danny Etling a 6 of 8 with that touchdown.
Yeah.
Looked good too. So Trey Lance, that's probably what the 49ers wanted to happen.
Right.
Exactly. That couldn't have went more perfect for them. So yeah, it was fun to watch, obviously, but it very much felt like a preseason game.
Oh, absolutely. I thought, compared to last year, first game, because yes, it's his third year, but remember he didn't have any preseason games because COVID year. So we didn't see him at all. So, and then he missed a preseason game last year. So this is his third preseason game, if you think about it, just third. And I know he's got the regular season game under his belt too with Kansas City. So if you want to add that, this is his fourth game of his career. So I thought he looked a little bit more decisive, a little bit more poised, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There was some good, there was some bad, but like if I had to grade it, I went with like a C plus, like a 78%. If we do the KPI, the performance indicator again. It was about like a C plus sort of
right
around there.
And I'd go with that too. I think he just needs to sometimes maybe rely a little more on his instincts than relying on just, that with that last interception. It's like, okay, yeah, it was a busted route, but your instincts should tell you I probably shouldn't throw this with the guy right there. Yep. So I think that'll come a little bit more as he gets more of this playing time. And we saw that in the Kansas City game last year. There were struggles early on, but man, it seemed like towards the end when he started using his instincts a little bit more too, that's when you saw him kind of start to accelerate and kind of see the potential that the Packers have seen. So again, I think these reps are invaluable and are going to help him a lot to what his future will be.
I completely agree. So did anything else kind of stand out to you from watching that game?
I think it was nice to see, Romeo continues to be Romeo.
Yeah.
The legend grows. He's got to be the preseason MVP right now.
Probably, yeah. Him and George Pickens.
Right. And I want to see Amari Rodgers grow. That to me is one of the things I'm watching more is to see where he's at. Because obviously last year was not the year they wanted him to have.
Right.
So you need him to go in, and I think everybody's watching the special teams just to see if they're making any strides. So you could tell it was the first preseason game. And there's so many guys that are probably getting significant playing time that'll more than likely be practice squad guys too. It with the receiving core. I mean, how many people can catch passes on that team right now? I feel like they have 500 guys out there playing receiver at some point. So yeah, that's going to get trimmed down, especially with, we got Robert Tonyan coming back. That was big news for them. I mean, when they get him back, oh man, you're not going to see him in the preseason, but man, I'm saying that offense together, but it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun year to watch this offense and see what Matt LaFleur comes up with these different pieces, minus the obviously Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he'll make the team, but I think, before the game he was getting talked a little bit about, and, made a couple nice plays, including a touchdown, but I think he's a prime candidate for the practice squad, Danny Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I just, Matt LaFleur was talking about him a little bit before. I know when I was down at practice the first couple of days, he made a couple plays, and then, his touchdown catch. I mean, I think he's a prime practice squad, and that's not a negative, but this is,
No.
I don't think anybody really expected Danny Davis. He's undrafted. Packers pick him up. It's like, oh, okay, good luck maybe, but there's some opportunities there. But I think he's taking advantage of it, and he's opening up some eyes, and it might make it a little bit more difficult for Goody and Matt LaFleur to cut him on cutdown day.
And I throw this out there is like the way he played and the way, like, say, Quintez Cephas has played too in the NFL, kind of makes you realize that maybe that Badgers offense needed a little, pick me up, a little change.
Right.
Because he had these guys, but they weren't really being as utilized as much as they could. Obviously, it's going to be a running game for the Badgers, but yeah, to see Danny Davis go out there and make the plays like this, it's like, man, he was there in Wisconsin, but we really didn't. We saw glimpses of it his whole career, but the fact that he's out there impressing on an NFL field tells you that he really has the goods. And if they can get him on the practice squad and keep him there, you got to do. I think you do that if you're Green Bay. And the problem is I feel like they're gonna have a few guys that they're gonna want to stash on the practice squad that I think teams might be willing to pick up. So it's going to be tough once it comes to cut time.
With Elton Jenkins coming back too, let's assume that David Bakhtiari won't start the season. He'll start the season on the PUP list. Where do you start Elton Jenkins then once the season opens up?
Oh man, I mean that's tricky. You have a guy who can do whatever you need,
right?
That's what it comes down to is what you look at it. Where do you need him the most? Now your depth is so different this year compared to what it was last year, because it was basically veteran depth last year.
Right.
Now your depth's all pretty inexperienced. I mean, the guys have experience, but they're not guys who have been in the league for that long. So I'm not sure. I think you look at it and you keep evaluating, and now obviously that's what they're doing. And they'll throw them where they need them the most. So, yeah, I don't know if there's a definite answer to that right now. And we probably won't know until week 1. We'll get ideas, and I'm sure we'll see looks in practice. But, yeah, if you have a guy like that who's obviously a great weapon, and you're not going to have David Bakhtiari, you need him where you need him the most. So that's a big Band-Aid to have coming back.
It is. Really kind of, fills a big hole there. And I know he was working out a little bit as a right tackle in his individual drills yesterday, but as he said after practice, he's like, tomorrow could be left tackle, next day could be guard, just getting ready and rust, as he said, getting the rust off of every position, which I think fits Elton Jenkins perfectly.
I like that though too. I like that. Keep it under wraps.
Yep.
Really, keep it under wraps until it's time to face the defense and live face the Vikings, so they don't know.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of the Vikings, I think I'd almost want Elton Jenkins at one of those tackle spots because of Hunter and Zadarius Smith coming on the edge. Just me, though, but we'll see.
Somebody there is going to have some motivation in that game. So I don't know who.
Yeah, somebody. I think we maybe starts with a Zadarius on there.
Ends with a Smith.
Ends with a Smith. All right. Hey, well, that shot clock's gonna kick us off here in under a minute. So big week again. High school football season starting up. 8-man starts next week, though, right? I believe
they start practice this week.
Start practice this week. Okay,
so I think they're about 2 weeks then,
gotcha.
Or a week and a half from.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, Wisconsin State Open going on today. So
golf. That's right. Yeah.
Matt Tolan in that. Ryan Isaacson, Cole Fisher, Tyler Leach. So there's a lot of guys out there from our area that have a chance. It'd be great to see Ryan Isaacson and Cole Fisher in a pairing, coach versus player. That would be fun. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there for those guys, and good luck.
Awesome. We've got such great representation when it comes to golf. It makes me so jealous. So
yeah,
probably you
really
too.
good.
So just a little bit. All right, dude. Hey, well, best of luck this week. You guys do a fantastic job covering it all for us, and I'm sure we'll be breaking it down on Monday when you're back on there. So now begins. Probably your wife doesn't get to see you a whole lot, so right? Yeah, you're watching football and that. So, but best of luck and continue doing the awesome work, sir.
Well, thank you. You too, Dan.
Oh, thank you, bud. All right, we got 2 in, 1 more to go. Studs and duds coming up in just a few minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
Now, coming out of a weekend and into a new week, we stretch that lens to one of our bigger cities and a violent weekend in Milwaukee. 7 of the 9 people shot over the weekend in that city were shot on Saturday, including a double shooting that left 1 person dead. Police say there were also shootings on Friday and Sunday. Milwaukee police are on pace to see nearly 1,000 non-fatal shootings this year. Well, here locally and closer to our own backyard, we're set to learn the price tag for Eau Claire school referendum. And maybe later tonight, we'll know more about the numbers. City board is set to meet, and with 715 newsroom coverage, John DeMaster set with details.
The city school board is set to meet tonight and should set the price for the tax increase question. That's going to be on the November ballot. Eau Claire schools are asking for more money to make upgrades at a handful of different schools. There is some worry that voters won't support a tax increase for both the schools and the city itself. Both will be on the ballot this fall. I'm John DeMaster.
On the national scene with the Wisconsin connection, the inventory of last week's search warrant for Donald Trump's Florida estate includes several categories of classified documents that were seized by the FBI. Heading into the weekend, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson telling reporters that he wasn't overly concerned.
I think Mar-a-Lago is a pretty safe place. We have Secret Service protection. Sounds like these documents might have been in a safe, so no, I'm not overly concerned about some top secret information getting leaked out.
Johnson, who serves on the Senate Homeland Security Committee, said the former president, quote, declassified a bunch of material, end quote, before leaving office. Johnson has been a strong supporter of Trump and is up for re-election in November. Continuing on the political stage, we do have the price tag for the investigation in the 2020 election in Wisconsin, and that's likely going to continue to grow. There are several lawsuits surrounding the Gableman investigation that have yet to be settled, and those costs going forward. And there will be costs for those going forward despite Gableman's firing. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos fired Gableman heading into the weekend, and so far the investigation, they figure, has cost more than $1 million, including over $250,000 in fines in open records cases. You probably don't need the earplugs to walk in Carson Park now, but it was home to dozens of U.S. Open Chainsaw Sculpture Championships over the weekend, so dozens of artists competed and showcased their skills there. Eau Claire's been home to that championship for years. The plan now is to host it at Carson Park every other year going forward. And let's look at the courts.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
It isn't. It isn't. The NBA Christmas schedule was leaked ahead of its official announcement. Right, Trey?
The Athletic reports the defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors are hosting the Memphis Grizzlies on Christmas Day. 4 other games are slated for the holiday.
I'm sure you guys will be talking more about some of that schedule today. So, you guys, are you ready? Is it too soon? It's too soon, isn't it? But Dan Kasper's back today, and that's kind of a gift for us all, right? For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy. Is Dan Kasper back again?
Today going to look a lot like this weekend, though we may start off with some areas of fog early on, mainly cloudy conditions as we top out, mainly
at you on this Monday morning. Dan Kasper Show's on the air. Appreciate you tuning in, however and wherever you're tuning in. Coming up this hour, we'll get back to some more Brewers baseball chat. Brewers fans, what's your feeling like on this team right now? Are you the optimistic G-man? Saying 3 out of 4. Taking 3 out of 4 against those mighty Dodgers. Is this series going to kind of maybe define it? How do you want to say this? Define, I don't want to say do or die because that's a little dramatic. But, I mean, is this series kind of like, all right, if they take 3 out of 4, I'm still on that wagon. I'm still on that Brewers train. Or if they, lose 3 out of 4 or worse yet, get swept on that 4, you're like, oh, all right, I'm checking out. Where are you at on that Brewer scale? Hit me up with some text, tweets, Facebook. Also, how did Jordan Love look to you in preseason game numero uno? We got a few comments to get to from some of you. And anybody or anything else stand out to you about the game on Friday night? Packers getting some great news yesterday with Elton Jenkins and Bobby Tunyon and Christian Watson coming off the PUP list. I feel like Tunyon is going to play. I think week 1. I think Elton Jenkins is going to play week 1. Christian Watson. The thing is, too, why it's so big is that we know those 3 are going to be on the 53-man roster once the season starts. They can't go back on the PUP. So unless, knock on wood, they don't have another injury where they got to open up on the IR, but they're going to be on that 53-man roster. They can't go back on the PUP to open up the season. So great news right there. I don't expect any of those guys, besides Christian Watson. I think Christian Watson will probably play in the 3rd preseason game for sure. Maybe he'll be able to get some snaps in this Friday against the Saints. We'll see, but I would be surprised if Elton Jenkins and Bobby Tunyon go out there at all in these final 2 preseason games. Watson, yes. Got to get him some reps out there. It's time for some studs and duds. Okay? Time for some studs and duds list. If any of you have some studs and duds that you want to pass along, go ahead and do so. Text those babies on over. I just got a couple. Let's go with the, I mentioned it before, but, studs, I thought John Kuhn was pretty darn good on that telecast. First time doing a little TV right there for John Kuhn. I know he was like a sideline guy. But, being in the booth up there, being the color commentator, I thought that was the heck of a job by John Kuhn. So I'm going to go stud with John Kuhn. No stud right there. Some other studs over the weekend. We mentioned a little bit earlier, but golf from yesterday, what an epic finish. I mean, social media was just flying off the hook. Will Zalatoris, a.k.a. Happy Gilmore's caddy, getting the win, PGA Tour victory, first PGA Tour victory in a playoff. So stud, right? That's another stud for me. Duds, Brewers bullpen, giving up Rogers yesterday, Taylor Rogers yesterday, giving up the 4 runs. Dud. Had a shot to win that series. I think that would have gotten some momentum heading into the series with the Dodgers, not only for the players, but for the fans, fan group, getting the excitement there. Anybody going down to AmFam Field for any of these games, by the way, since it's in Milwaukee? Anybody? And hopefully it's going to be a loud, packed stadium of Brewers fans. Sure, there'll be a good crop of Dodgers fans, but hopefully it'll be a good contingent of Brewers fans. Get that thing done. Some other duds up there too. Let's go with maybe my other dud was I was going to go with the safety depth at the Packers position group, but the other one too I was going to put under is Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw the excuse that he was kind of thrown out there, or at least his management was thrown out there. I mean, it seems like everybody kind of is like, oh, I didn't know I was taking it, or I thought I was doing this sort of thing. Fact of the matter remains, dude, you got suspended. I mean, This guy, hell of a talent, great player. But yeah, if you're a Padres fan, you've just got to be frustrated as all get out. Absolutely irritated. I mean, what he tested positive for cholesterol, which sounds like, I don't even know if I pronounced that right. Sounds like cholesterol, but he claims the positive test was a result of a medicine he took to treat ringworm. So, first of all, Tatis Jr. has not played at all because of a wrist injury that he suffered in the offseason from a motorcycle accident. Last season was his first season since signing a 14-year, $340 million extension. He did finish third in the NL MVP voting, but he missed significant time with shoulder injury. So Tatis Jr. will miss the final 48 games of the season, no postseason, and then he'll miss the first 32 games of next year. So we won't see Tatis Jr. on the field with Juan Soto, Josh Bell, and back with Manny Machado. So, whew. Yeah. Those are what I got for some studs and duds, all right? Maybe I'm going to play a clip here, and maybe some people would put this on their duds list, but I want to ask you, what do you think about your current players, maybe on your favorite team, star players, when they talk about the possibility of playing for another team in the future? Should they be saying anything like that? Should they be talking about that? Because if you don't have Twitter, this is something that's making the waves. It's Giannis again talking about his future and maybe playing on a different team.
I think anybody who asks that question that plays basketball, if he said no, he'd be a liar. It's a team that won multiple championships. It's a team that one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player to ever play this game, played for. So it's a no-brainer. Everybody would love to play for Chicago. Down the line, you never know. You never know how life brings it. Maybe I'll play for Chicago, but right now I'm committed to Milwaukee.
So right now he did say I'm committed to Milwaukee, but he said, maybe down the line I'll play for Chicago. And I think he's like, hey, you never know what's going to happen in the future. We never know I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Giannis doesn't know if he's going to be in Milwaukee for his whole career. But do you like when a player, especially at the status of a Giannis, superstar, he is the franchise. As a fan, do you like hearing your player talk about, hey, maybe in the future I might be playing with this team, especially when it's 90 miles south? Or do you like, nah, he's just, you know what? He's being real. He's being real. And I appreciate that more. What side are you on that whole thing? Do you appreciate Giannis maybe being real with it and saying, hey, never know what the future is going to be? Or would you just rather it be like, dude, just, you know what? I understand that. I get it. But stop talking about it. You're killing us as Bucks fans. What would you say if, like, what would be another example? Let's say, Aaron Rodgers talked about, there was always that speculation about, well, he wanted to get traded to the West Coast. But did we ever say Aaron Rodgers say, while he was playing with Green Bay, maybe down the line, I'd love to play for San Francisco. Who wouldn't want to play for San Francisco? Now, to be fair, Giannis didn't say I would love to play for Chicago, but he kind of insinuates like you'd be lying if nobody said they didn't want to play for Chicago. But, would you rather? What do you make of that? Much to do about nothing? Or just, Giannis, stop doing this to us. Stop throwing it out there for people to talk about. Let's catch up on some text here. Living in the Dream Jeff. This was about a while ago. With Jenkins coming back, I would leave the left side alone. Last year, Yash and John played well together for most of the year, and Yash went up against really good pass rushers. So you would see Elton at the right side, right? Move him over to right tackle, I'm assuming. Another text. Hey, Dan, I think Jack Heflin looked pretty good. As for our first-round backup quarterback, I think he looks average at best, even if the head coach says those interceptions are not his fault. They're still interceptions. Another text here. Jordan Love, he looked good out there. He passed the eyeball test, and I could see him building still into a top 15 starting quarterback when he gets the opportunity for a few games as a starter with the ones. Whenever that day comes, once he does, that will be really exciting to see how he grows. Brett Favre had more than 20 games with 3 or more interceptions in regular season with starters. Stud Albert Pujols. Yeah, that dude took it to the Brewers yesterday. Duds, Tatis Jr., and anybody who thinks Jordan Love has any arm talent whatsoever. Interesting. Aaron. Bisaccia was a stud. Thanks for giving us hope for the special teams this season. Just one game, but kind of maybe talking about the penalty right away. Another text. The NBA can be crazy sometimes. You never know who's going to get traded. When down the line, I think Giannis is probably just trying to be respectful to the Chicago franchise. And honestly, after he risked his career playing on a bad knee in the playoffs to win a championship, Giannis can basically say whatever he wants in my book. I also think Giannis is very honest and candid with his audience, which for me is refreshing. Fear the deer. There you go. I like that. I like that response. I like that one. That's a good one. Appreciate that text. I do agree. I think Giannis is definitely more refreshing. He is an open book. He is more candid. I would agree with that. All right, let's talk some more baseball and football coming up as we finish up this final hour. So the majority of texters, if we go back to 6 a.m. in the first hour to now, majority of texters, thumbs up to Jordan Love's performance. Nothing great, nothing spectacular, but nothing traumatic. Nothing like god-awful. For those of you who haven't chimed in on the Jordan Love, why or why not? Why or why not? Did you think he had a decent performance, good performance, awful performance? What's your scouting report on Jordan Love? Text, tweet, Facebook, YouTube live video stream, and anybody else or anything else stand out to you in that preseason game numero uno. Plus, Brewers fans, with this 4-game series against the Dodgers, is it too early to say do or die? Is that a little too dramatic? You're 1.5 back from the Cardinals. You've got the Dodgers, Cardinals. If you're scoreboard watching, they're going up against the Rockies. Is it too dramatic, too early to say that? Are you using this series at all as like, okay, they take 3 out of 4, I'm still on the train. If they lose 3 out of 4, they get swept. It's going to be hard for me to kind of, stay tuned to it. You got football season coming up. Brewers got to do something to, keep a lot of the fan base maybe in tune with them, paying attention to them. How do you do the series with Dodgers coming up starting tonight? So let me know. Hit me up with some texts. And answer that Giannis question too. You good with him talking about playing potentially with a different team down the road? Is it refreshing, open, candid?
180! The Dan Kasper Show.
you can just kind of do the easy sub of putting Bakhtiari in over Yash. Now, the flip side of it could be is like, no, you could put, Elton Jenkins at left tackle, put Yash over at right, and then when Bakhtiari comes back, you can leave Yash at right and then put Elton Jenkins at one of the guard spots. You could go that route too. I think financially, Elton Jenkins will love to play a little tackle because he's heading into free agency, and, tackles, especially left tackles, they make a little bit more moolah, make a little bit more money. But, we'll see. Green Bay's playing it pretty close to the chest. Matt LaFleur yesterday wouldn't pigeonhole him into a certain position. And really, there's no reason to be doing that. I mean, I don't even think Elton Jenkins is going to be playing any preseason games. It'll be, and who knows, he might only be just doing individual drills this week, so he may not even be lining up against the Saints. But our first, kind of glimpse of where the Packers will have him lined up, will be in those team drills, in those team sessions in training camp, those 11-on-11s, where he lines up there. But I think having Bobby Tunyon back is just as huge. Gives Aaron Rodgers another receiver that he's comfortable with, that he trusts, that he knows. We'll see when he didn't even have a leg brace. He didn't even have a knee brace on yesterday when he was doing his stuff. He's ready to go. And I know when we talked to Rob Demovsky at the opening of training camp, he had mentioned that Tunyon was telling people that he was going to play week 1 and that he was ready to go. Well, sure looks like it now. But, you think about the Elton Jenkins and coming back from that ACL. You look at Elton Jenkins and you look at David Bakhtiari. Two totally opposite time frames of recovery. Elton Jenkins, remember, November. Okay? November is when he tore his ACL. He's back. He's back. It's August. And I was reading a little bit that the Packers were kind of just waiting to get to that 9-month mark. And that's something we talked about a few months ago, that, Green Bay was like, oh, that 9-month, they kind of uses a certain benchmark. Well, it was about, the 9-month mark there. Pretty darn close to it. So you got Elton Jenkins who's back, yet Bakhtiari, still dealing with the issues. Again, when we talked to Dr. Crow for Inside the Training Room on Fridays, like he always mentions it, not every ACL is the same. Not every injury recovery time is the same. Everybody's going to be different. Not everybody's going to be an Adrian Peterson where you tear it in the last game, or second to last game of the year, and then you're coming back and then you win an MVP for the next year, for crying out loud. Everybody's different. Recoveries are different. But you look at those two, the two best offensive linemen on this Packers squad, and two totally different recovery times. I'm just glad those three are back. And this is big for Christian Watson now. I mean, Christian Watson's got an uphill climb to, kind of get in a groove with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. Christian Watson said that I had a conversation with 12 earlier today. This was from yesterday. He was telling me about how he's going to be hard on me, saying make the mistakes now so they don't happen during the season. Watson went on to say, so to be able to go out there and learn from those things and have the positive things as well, it's positive and negative reinforcement. And I'm just excited to go out there and make those mistakes and learn from those things and get back on track. I don't know if he's going to be able to suit it up against the Saints on Friday, but I have to imagine he would for sure go next week just to get some action in there. But, I mean, if the season started next week, Christian Watson, are you throwing him out there right away? Probably not. And I think you kind of look at some of, and I know at the beginning part of training camp, a lot of people's like, Sammy Watkins, he's going to be cut probably, or he's likely to be cut. I don't think so. And I think that was kind of reinforced when you look at preseason game number 1 of the guys who sat out, Sammy Watkins and a bunch of other starters who sat out. I think Sammy's making the team. Cobby's making the team. Lazard's making the team. Romeo's making the team. Winfrey's is making the team. Yeah, I wouldn't have said he made the team a few weeks ago, but the fact Aaron has been going out there and talking about him, I think he's making the team. So, I mean, right now, Christian Watson's what? 6th, 7th on the depth chart? Factor in Amari Rodgers on there? He's got some catching up to do at this point. So, hopefully, it's a little bit of a crash course there and he can get her going and get caught up to speed. All right, last call for any picks for the Brewers. Majority are actually going Dodgers winning the series. Not totally surprised there. Majority are going with that the Dodgers are going to win. Yeah, it looks like we got a majority of 3. Dodgers taking 3 out of 4. Got a few taking 2 out of 2. The ever optimistic G-Man going 3 out of 4 for the Brew Crew. I might be a little optimistic and going 2 out of 2, but we've seen weirder things happen, right? But yeah, majority of you going Dodgers in this series. I haven't seen any sweeps yet. Nobody's picked any sweeps from either side of things here. But again, game 1 tonight. Freddie Peralta on the mound. 7:10 first pitch. Coverage will begin on these radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. About 35 minutes prior. So 6:35 tonight. 6:35 tonight. We will. So coming up tomorrow, we'll obviously recap that game. Take a look at game 2 coming up between the Brewers and the Dodgers. We'll chat a little bit more green and gold on some of the stuff that went on today. Believe tomorrow, tomorrow, August 16th too. Maybe a good day for Sterling Sharp, because the Pro Football Hall of Fame committee meets tomorrow to select the class of 2023 seniors, and that includes Sterling Sharp. So, yeah, keep your fingers crossed for anybody who believes that Sterling Sharp should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Tomorrow, they will cut it down and send those babies on over for the vote. Also got Cecil Isbell, former Packer, on there too. But yeah, senior committees will meet tomorrow, and they will send 3 to the full Hall of Fame selection committee for possible election, which for the most part, I mean, the senior committee members, whoever, and, I don't have the numbers to back it up, but it sure seems like for the most part, whenever those senior members get sent to the selection committee, they usually get through. So will we see Sterling Sharp as one of those 3? Will we see Cecil Isbell as one of those final 3? Should know tomorrow. Anybody wondering about Mike Holmgren? That's coming up on August 23rd. But keep that in mind for tomorrow. But also coming up tomorrow, we'll do some Grind My Gears Tuesday. Whatever's grinding your gears, think about it. You can vent it out tomorrow. Let's keep it clean so I can say it on the air, okay? You guys know the drill. So we'll do a little bit of that. We'll catch up with the Express, too. Hopefully they'll get the win tonight. And then, go for it. Game 3. Do or die situation tomorrow night at Carson Park. But if you're not doing anything tonight, head on down to Carson Park. A little playoff action. The Express fell yesterday to Duluth. But get that win tonight. Force a game 3. Get that win. And move on, baby. So best of luck to the Express for tonight's game. But hopefully we'll be catching up with them tomorrow as well. We'll chat with RJ Cardinal as we inch a little bit closer and closer to the college football season, college football kickoff coming up in just a couple of weeks. So we'll continue to preview and break down this Badger football team as we inch a little bit closer to the start of the college football season. What are your expectations for the Badgers this year? Think about that for a little bit. We'll hit that up tomorrow. Your preseason expectations for this Badger team. I was looking at CBS Sports. They've already got some bowl predictions out there already. Yeah, bowl predictions. They don't have Wisconsin in a New Year's Day bowl game. Just already going to play spoiler, but we'll hit that up a little bit more detail tomorrow. They got Michigan in the Rose Bowl in Utah. All right, that's going to do it for us. Have a fantastic Monday. We're going to do it again tomorrow morning just past 6. Talk to you all then.